Hey everybody, this is Steve from Brass Horse Studio, and I've got some really important news about two updates given on April 14th and April 15th by the Small Business Administration on their website. These updates especially apply to sole proprietors who are seeking a PPP loan or a Paycheck Protection Program loan who file a Schedule C. It also applies to people who hire household workers, so people who hire housekeepers or nannies. Okay, so if this is valuable information to you, you appreciate this, please hit the like and subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll get these kinds of updates. And if this is valuable throughout the video, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does make a difference. Let's get right to the details. Okay, let's start with the information posted yesterday afternoon by the Small Business Administration. This guidance was given on Tuesday, April the 14th. I've put a link down below that you can click on. It'll take you straight to the PDF that you can download. You can read this yourself, but it is 19 pages long, so I'm kind of breaking it out. Here are the details that they offer. Well, one bit of detail that they offered is that partners should not file for the PPP loans individually. They should file on the level of the partnership. So if you're in a partnership LLC, or some other form of ownership that is a partnership, then that partnership should only apply for one PPP loan together, and that would include all the partners' income in it as part of the loan. Okay, now the bulk of this guidance was given for sole proprietors with no employees or some employees. Now let's talk about sole proprietors with no employees, because that actually comprises the bulk of small businesses. Okay, in this particular release from the SBA on April the 14th, that afternoon of the April the 14th, Tuesday, they are guiding that you will use your 2019 Schedule C, line 31, net profit amount. Okay, if you haven't filed it yet, they state that you should fill it out and take that to the bank, or offer that, upload that to the bank for documentation for your loan. Okay, so you're going to use line 31, which is going to be your net profit or even net loss. Now this is where some interesting things come out. They say divide by 12, so that would give average monthly profit or loss, and multiply by 2.5. That part's not a change. That part we knew about before. And that's the amount that you can apply for. Now, this guidance specifies that if you had a net loss, and so if your line 31 is a loss, if it's negative or zero, that you are ineligible. Now that's written on page 6 of this PDF. The link is below, and it reads this way specifically. If this amount is zero or less, you are not eligible for a PPP loan. Now this raises several questions, several alarming questions, I would think. Some of which were given in this guidance and much of it wasn't. So let me run through some of those questions that this would raise. One question it could raise is, well, what if I didn't have my business through the entire 2019? What if I started my business later on? What if I was only in existence, let's say, for 9 months or 5 months or 4 months in 2019? Then you're saying you're going to divide it by 12 and multiply it by 2.5. That is exactly what the guidance says. But wouldn't that artificially be too low? Because now you're dividing 4 months worth of profit or 4 months worth of loss, although you're not eligible if you have a loss. But you're dividing 4 months worth of profit by 12 and multiplying that by 2.5. That's a third of what you should get. There is no guidance for that. There's no specific guidance for that. One would think that they would use common sense in this, but the written guidance says divide by 12 and multiply by 2.5. Take line 31, divide by 12, multiply by 2.5. It does not say anything. It is silent on the issue of whether or not you were not in existence throughout 2019. Okay? Another question that could come up would be, what if I had negative earnings after expenses in 2019, but for the first 3 months of 2020, I've been profitable, right? Before I had to, shut down and stop because I wasn't considered an essential business. Well, what if I was profitable for 2020? I was negative in 2019. You're saying I'm ineligible for the loan? This does not exist. This guidance does not address that. That is a terrible weakness in this new guidance. The current guidance leaves that scenario out and is silent about that guidance. Okay? I'm sorry about that. Please don't shoot the messenger. I know you're going to go down in the comments section. You're going to say I suck and everything. I don't. It's not me. It's this. I'm reading it right from the act for you, and I'm giving you links so you can go see it. I hate this, but it is what is written in here. Now that doesn't mean there's not going to be more guidance later. There could be more guidance later. Another question would be, what if I started my business after January 1st, 2020, so I don't have a 2019 Schedule C? I couldn't even fill one out, even though I haven't had to file yet until July. I wouldn't fill out a 2019 Schedule C on my 2020 income. That's a great question. And they state that they are going to offer more guidance about that in the future. So since there's a little bit of hope then for people who maybe were negative in 19 and are now positive, because they actually come out and state that they are going to offer more guidance for people whose businesses were not in existence in 2019. So we're waiting for that new guidance. Here is specifically what it says. I know this is frustrating. Listen, I can completely understand this is frustrating. In this guidance, the only thing they state is this. I'm going to read it right from it. This is going to be written on pages 6 and 7, the bottom of page 6, top of page 7 in the PDF. It says, regardless of whether you have filed a 2019 tax return with the IRS, you must provide the 2019 Form 1040 Schedule C with your PPP loan application to substantiate the applied for PPP loan amount, and a 2019 IRS Form 1099-miscellaneous detailing non-employee compensation received, Box 7. Now they go on to state, an invoice, bank statement, or book of record that establishes you are self-employed. Now there's the word or in there. Or invoice, bank statement, or book of record that establishes you are self-employed. You must provide a 2020 invoice, bank statement, or book of record to establish that you were in operation on or about February 15th, 2020. So this is on pages 6 and 7 of the SBA Interim Final Rule, Additional Eligibility Criteria and Requirements for Certain Pledges of Loan. And the link for that is down below. Okay, here's another statement that is made on page 10. And I want to read this to you. This is made on page 10 of that 19-page document. It reads, for individuals with income from self-employment from 2019, from which they have filed or will file a 2019 Form 1040 Schedule C, expenses incurred between January 1, 20 and February 14, 20 may not be considered because of the lack of verifiable documentation on expenses in this period. The SBA will issue additional guidance for those individuals with self-employment income who were not in operation in 2019, but who were in operation on February 15th, 2020, and will file a Form 1040 Schedule C for 2020. So there is the wording that they will offer additional guidance for this particular scenario. Here's to keeping our fingers crossed that they're going to issue guidance in that release for people who had a loss in 2019, but they've been crushing it in 2020. This seems like a real shortcoming of this new guidance. Now, other things kind of have remained the same on here. Up to 25% of the loan can be applied to mortgage interest or rent or utilities. And that is only if, they go on to say very specifically, if you were eligible to claim those on your Schedule C. If you were not eligible to claim those on your Schedule C, then you cannot apply any portion of this loan to those amounts. Okay, so they're cranking down on this. They're using 2019 Schedule C. Line 31 specifically mentioned net income or profit from business activities as their line item to multiply for payroll for sole proprietors. Okay, there was another post today posted by the Treasury. This is on the SBA website as well. I'll put the link down below. This is in the Federal Register, Volume 85, number 73, dated today, Wednesday, April 15th. And it offers a little bit more guidance on some things. One of the things it says is that you're not an eligible employer if you employed household help. Now, if you're an employer that employs household help, you can't get PPP loan money for that help. But if you also have a business somewhere, that's a separate PPP loan. Okay, they're just saying that if you're a household and you hire a nanny, my next door neighbors have a nanny, they can't call themselves employers and get PPP money for their nanny. So they have written that out in this guidance. Okay, this particular guidance gives some very specific direction for the calculation of your PPP loan amount. And there's no surprises here. They're just ultra clear. Step 1, aggregate your payroll costs for the last 12 months. And I'm going to give some details about that in a second. Step 2, subtract any compensation for any employee over $100,000 who makes over $100,000. Take that additional amount and subtract that out. Subtract that amount, divide by 12. That's your average monthly. Multiply by 2.5 and add in the outstanding amount of any EIDL loan. Okay? Any economic injury disaster loan amount, net of any advance they sent you, because that's forgiven. Okay, so you're going to add back into your PPP loan amount any EIDL loan amount that wasn't advanced to you. So if you got an additional loan, if you had $1,000 advanced to you for one employee or $5,000 advanced to you for 5 employees, you're going to leave that off. But you're going to, if they gave you, let's say they gave you another $15,000, then you're going to go ahead and add that $15,000 on top. And that's because they're going to consolidate this down into one loan. Okay? So what constitutes payroll? And there is some very specific guidance in this Federal Register announcement. Some not surprised at all. Salary, wages, commission, and cash tips based on previous records. So if you've paid cash tips before to people, you've got a percentage or a particular amount, you can add that back in, because they want people who are servers and people like that that live on cash tips to be able to get that money back. So salary, wages, commissions, cash tips. Payment for vacations, parental, family, medical, or sick leave. Allowances for separation or dismissal. So if you gave any severance packages. Employee benefits, medical, dental, vision, retirement. Payment of state and local taxes assessed on compensation, but not federal income taxes. And for any independent contractor or sole proprietor, wages, commissions, income, or net earnings from self-employment, okay, which they've given the guidance. That's Schedule C, line 31, okay? So that's what you use. Now this is interesting, right? Because to calculate your payroll, they're allowing you to claim health benefits and these kinds of employee-related costs. But if you're a sole proprietor and you're the only employee and you're filling out a Schedule C and your expenses include any health benefits that you paid, well, then those are deducted off the top and you don't get to claim those in your PPP loan according to that guidance. That is another discrepancy that seems troubling this, and that means you're going to get a smaller amount. You still got to pay your health insurance premiums, but you're going to get a smaller amount, if any at all, from PPP with this new guidance. Okay, so excluded from payroll amounts, things that you cannot claim in payroll, any payment to an employee whose principal place of residence is outside the United States, any compensation over the amount of $100,000 for anybody that you're claiming, federal employment taxes, you can't claim those, including the employer's share of FICA, and any income taxes required to be withheld. Qualified family and sick wages for which a tax credit is allowed. So if you're claiming a tax credit for family leave wages or for sick pay under Section 7001 and 7003 of the CARES Act, you don't want to claim those in your PPP. Those won't be forgiven. And independent contractors that you pay do not count as payroll. They file for their own by putting all their 1099s together and filing for their own PPP. Okay? So you don't include any independent contractors that you pay according to this Federal Register guidance. Okay, so I know I just threw a lot at you, but those are the updates on 2014 and 2015. I can tell you that they are discouraging to me. While they add some clarity, they obviously made it a lot simpler to find your number. Just go to Schedule C, go down to line 31. But it's discouraging because there's expenses that you are allowed to claim under PPP as payroll for other employees you might pay, but you can't claim those for yourself in line 31 of Schedule C. If you were killing it in 2020 before this all hit, but you had taken a loss on your 2019 Schedule C, this guidance is horrible. This is not good. So I hope in this guidance that the SBA promised in their April 14th release that they gave yesterday, that I read to you earlier, they're going to address companies that didn't exist in 2019. I hope they will address companies that maybe had taken a loss in 2019, but were doing fantastic in early 2020 so that they can help businesses like that. All right, so I hate that this is kind of darker news for sole proprietors. It's kind of the heartbeat of my small community anyway, and I know it's the heartbeat of your life. So what I'm going to tell you is just listen. I want you to get those documents in order. Talk to your PPP lender. If you've already made an application, then that means that the lender accepted the amounts that you offered, and I'm hearing from people that they're getting those deposits. So what I'm assuming that the effective dates on these were yesterday and today. So I'm assuming this is for anybody else that's about to apply, not those who have already applied. Okay, so it does say the effective date is April 14th, and then on this Federal Register one, April 15th. And so for those of you that already sent your packets in, that's what your bank asked for. That's what they wanted. And I'm hoping that they're going to let those go right on through the way you applied for them, and they're going to use the amounts that you asked for. All right. I'm going to be making another video soon about how to get forgiveness. I'm talking to my own sources who are commercial lenders that are giving me guidance about what they're being told by the SBA to ensure that you get forgiveness for accurate amounts. So I'm going to release that, be looking for that. I've also got a video that's going to be coming out about what you can be doing, even if you are working at home, if you are kind of waiting in limbo, you're sort of waiting in a holding pattern for your loan. What could you be doing to maybe strengthen your business, strengthen your management and leadership in that business? So look for those videos, like and subscribe if this was valuable to you. And the next step I'd like you to take as a result of watching this video is, first of all, support small businesses in your community. I know in my community there's a website they released yesterday to help people buy discounted gift cards for a lot of small businesses here in town. Look for those kinds of programs in your town, support small businesses, and maybe consider offering some gift cards of your own if you can for your services that people can start buying now. Maybe that'll provide a little bit of cash flow for you. And on top of that, I know you're going to keep your family safe and be thinking about all the other sole proprietors out there and small businesses that form this community. Just know that I'm concerned about you and know that I'm looking out for you. I appreciate all the support you've given this channel in the last week or so. All right, keep it up, and I will come out with another video very, very soon.